On this video, we're going to play through Elisha 90 card expansion starter set, which is everything you need in it for solo or for multiple players. So we're dividing up location deck. We're going to pull out the shadow cards and set those off to the side over here. I'm just going to use all the cards that were provided for the encounter deck. And we'll shuffle those. So that's your faithless, your event cards, your support cards, your trap cards. And depending on if you've created your own custom, this could include song cards or instruments that are coming out in the storyteller's description box. But there's none here in this. So there's too many for one faithful deck. And so we're going to divide these up here. And probably as we're wanting to build, we're kind of figure out our themes and possibilities. So I'm going to do Elisha and more of his. And then we're going to look at a handful. So if I'm building out an Elisha Faithful, I'm probably going to want to stack with some of these she-bears. Jehoshabeth and Joash and Jehoiada. These all have effects that stack on one another. So I'm going to want to include those in my Faithful. And so part of this is getting to know the narrative and the story as I'm looking to build. And we're going to put some of these out to kind of give you an idea with these as you're playing together. But we'd encourage you to sort of get to know the card and the story, read the verses, and see, because all of these effects that you're going to find in a set interact with each other based on the narrative in scripture. So everything we do as we're building these really is using the Bible and its verses to inform the way the cards interact based on the narrative they're from. So obviously if there's Elisha in a different set, it may not interact the same way as those specifically built for this set. So some of these here we'll just fill in, but for instance, the Karite has these effects that impact based on faithful with the attribute of king. And so that's definitely going to be one that plays here. Now, for some of this, you could, because I'm playing solo, I'm going to build these based on the specific decks. But in that case, I could have things that play off the other that I know that my partner has if we're playing together. But again, there's a lot of these where I kind of want to know what the impact is with these. So there's a few of these like Ishmael and Maaseiah that play off of Jehoiada. And so if I don't have Jehoiada in my deck, I'm losing some of the powers and abilities that those have. Now, for instance, the young prophet, Shunammite woman, right, that you want to have those. Now, other cards may be impacted because if you're wanting to build a support heavy deck, such as a widow or so some of those just are based on what you want to build there. So I'm going to look at these and I'll put these together and we'll just skip ahead to the playthrough. Okay. I'll draw my top three faithful. When these go into play, they start at full faith. So let's look at these here as we're setting up. And so we're prepping to start. We're going to start just with 3. Now, because this is a shadow location, I'm going to reveal this shadow effect, which is in until it is resolved. So it says, while the shadow effect is in play, all faithful cards are refreshed at half their total. Shadow effect ends when any water location is cleared. So it's unfortunate because I start with grass, shadow, grass. But luckily that means when it's refreshed. So when I'm putting a new faithful into play, it will still be at full faith. But when I'm refreshing, I have to follow the impact of the shadow. So I'm going to stage these and I get to reveal. So I have to resolve the trap. So it says this trap goes into effect upon the next player's turn. The next revealed Faithful is discarded instead of added to that player's hand. So that's another unfortunate one. So this comes to me, but the chemo I can't really use here. So I want to kind of move things along. And so one of the ways I'm going to do that here. Now all of these are 1-to-1, but I can take 8, get rid of this location. Now, Naaman, because he still has 1 that has to stay there, I can't play him again. And then I'm going to work towards Carmel and just put all of these in. That'll be then my turn. But the next Faithful, oh, you gotta be kidding me! Which would have been She-Bear, gets discarded instead of added to the player's hand. That is literally the worst. But it is what it is. Moabite. And Joash becomes king. When this card is revealed, if King Joash is not in play, search your Faithful deck and put King Joash in play, then shuffle your deck. So that at least is one that goes in my favor, but I didn't use that deck. So I forgot that, but I can still shuffle these. And we're going to go here. So I have 1 faith token that I can play, and I cannot do anything else. And so that is on my turn, but Young Prophet. All right. Now I need to resolve the next one. Now, looking here, if I reveal another card, the next time this will result in overflow because there's a limit of 3 per location. King is on. So I'm not looking out too well here, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is, right? You walk by faith. You don't know what's going to come and impact you. So 5, 6, 8. Okay. Now here, I could take my 8 and play them on Mount Carmel, but the way this works is even though this technically would be 18, because there are other cards revealed, I can't just say, well, now I get to clear this location. I have to handle the encounters revealed on the timeline on that specific location before I can remove it. And so here again, I'm going to look. Probably what I'm going to try and do is, knowing that I couldn't just clear this, I also don't want to result in overflow and have to add another location. Now, possibly I could if I want to be strategic, knowing I only have 2, knowing I need to clear a water location. But part of me also doesn't want to risk it just the way this hand's been going. So I will clear Moabite. That is the end of my turn. Okay. So it says, when Widow is put in play, you may search the encounter deck for a support card and put it in your hand, then shuffle the deck. Alright. Okay. So now here, I would probably want to do this because I have an Elisha staff attachment, which is support by the blue, that can attach to a prophet and says, once during your turn, you may pay 3 faith tokens to return a card from the discard pile into any player's hand. I want that She-Bear back. So I'm going to take this, shuffle the deck. Okay, I'm going to attach it here. I'm going to spend the 3. I'm going to return She-Bear to my hand, which means then I can also put She-Bear into play. 22. Now again, remember, if a Faithful is returned to your hand and put into play, or you're revealing a Faithful to put it into play, it goes at full health. The only time we have to follow this is according to the specifics when they're refreshed. And so because I didn't play a card because I'm putting a She-Bear into play for the first time, I'm not refreshing. So now I'm going to spend my faith tokens. So I want to look here. I have 22 She-Bear. I didn't even put the right amount on. Move to 20. So with this, I don't like Matten's effect that if a trap card's revealed, settle tokens. So I'm going to go ahead and play the 10. And then I'm also going to get ready here. I'll put 8 here. Okay. So Elisha now is going to play with 30. And Elisha has the effect double portion. So Elisha can engage 2 times with a Faith Timeline per turn. Now, there's also a lot of stacked effects here. So She-Bear has called by Elisha, which means when Elisha takes any action, She-Bear may also take an action on any card revealed on the Faith Timeline. When Elisha is refreshed him and profit by half that total amount. So a lot of this, She-Bear gets +2 if Elisha is in play. Now, because Elisha just goes right into play, it has a new faith total. This isn't refreshing. This is following the effect. So it does get the 2 there. So some of this is knowing your deck and knowing that, right, these cards stack on each other. And so you want to have those. Okay. All right. Ditches in the Valley, draw a digital location card and add it to the Faith Timeline. Unfortunate. It doesn't matter the order in which these go. I think, well, if you do this, and then we would move them down like this as we clear them, overflow would kind of happen on this one no matter what there. But yeah, you'd want to push them down and move it. It's a trap. Wild Gourd. Upon reveal, any faithful in play with the faith amount less than 5 is discarded. So we got lucky here because She-Bear, in interacting with Wild Gourd, normally would be 3, but its total is given because of Elisha as 5. And so in this case, She-Bear is safe. If Elisha had not been in play, She-Bear would have been discarded. So when you look at this, you look at its current active faith total, which is +2. All right. So we're going to go ahead and engage here. So right now I know that Elisha can engage twice. So I'm going to try and be strategic about this. Okay. So the first is I'm going to go here. And this makes it 13 to clear this. Now, She-Bear, so when Elisha takes any action, She-Bear may also take an action on any card revealed on the Faith Timeline. So understanding this is not She-Bear's actual interaction here. It technically just gives it a second time. We're going to do this. We'll get rid of Mount Carmel. Now, in this case, each of these can go again because Elisha has double portion and because She-Bear was not taking its actual interaction with the timeline, it was going off of its effect based on Elisha. So we will interact in this way. We'll have now, if I'm playing for the first time, if I'm playing starter, I could say I've gotten 3 locations, and so I want to be done there. But I'm just going to go ahead and keep playing through just to give us an idea of how this goes. Okay. I have the She Bear as an instant card. So this is going to go into my hand, and I can play it. It says, play this card upon the initial reveal of a Faithless to discard that Faithless. Discard this card, then end player's turn without drawing a Faithful. Now, because of how this is worded, okay, it's the initial reveal, meaning I cannot play this on an already revealed. So King Ahaziah, I couldn't just play this to discard and then try and get rid of Desert of Edom. So I'm going to hold on to this one here as I'm looking here, but I am going to play Camel. It says play this card on any Faithless to cut their costs in half. Discard when that Faithless is no longer in play. So 13 doesn't have an even half, so we'll round up. But that's okay because we have this 7 here. That means that King Ahaziah is gone. These 4 will go in Desert of Edom. Double portion. You may use this card to refresh the faith pool to match the amount of one of your faithful in play. So I'm going to look at this, but I also need to remember that because of the shadow effect, when I play this and refresh, it only refreshes up to half their total. So obviously what makes most sense, because the most I could get would be 15 with Elisha. So I'm going to play that. We'll refresh 15. And we're going to try and get rid of Desert of Edom here. Let's see what our total is. We're at 28. Now, I did miss here, Young Prophet says, when Elisha's refreshed, refresh Young Prophet by half that total. Apologies, my memory is not working this morning. So, half of 15 is 7. Which means when I had refreshed it, I could have played the rest to cover, and Desert of Edom is gone. And that would be the end of that. We successfully cleared the Faith timeline.